it just comes more down to the realization that we do have the capacity and to alter our perception of reality. We really do. And that was, to me, that was a king. And now just to read that book and to listen to that book, which I've done afterwards at the same time. And I even told you recently when you brought it up again, I listened to it again, and I'm
Yeah.
the whole time I'm going, get chills down my spine, because it's exactly that. Like, we do, and we don't think about it, but when we do, we're like, holy shit, dude, we are 100% a mixture of what we consider good. We have the capacity of to do evil. We have the capacity of doing good. It's this: how bad do you really want it?
No, we yesterday was uh a fun day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was well, because I wasn't supposed to be working in the truck yesterday, but they had me stay in the truck with the new guy, which I guess is
Okay.
good because he couldn't do the job, and he ended up telling me that he couldn't do the job yesterday. So
Oh.
yeah, he's just like, I can't do this. So, and it was a 12-hour day.
Yeah.
We worked from 7 to 7, and like, that it kind of it helps because it makes me think about mortality and like aging and aging gracefully or not. So, well, one of the things, like I told you, the guy's older. Um, he's a 67-year-old man.
400 pounds.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely obese, and he couldn't lift the ramps on the trailer when it was time to load the equipment at the end of the day. And I was like, okay. And it's like, well, I was like, they're heavy. I get it. So I'll replace them, and we'll figure it out. And he's like, okay. He's like, it sucks getting old. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it is part of getting old, but it's kind of part of neglect. It's like, but and this is that part where I had to decide whether or not I was going to tell him the truth or be nice about it, because, like, here's the deal. Like, the guy had a double bypass 2 years ago, so his health is not where a normal 67-year-old would be to begin with, and then on top of that, he's obese. And so, and then it's like, all right, well, I just let it go. Um, so if I showed him how to be able to do it, and then when he got on the trailer, he didn't have the physicality to be able to get inside the machine. And so he couldn't physically pull himself into a doorway that had like 24-inch step up. Like, he couldn't lift his leg that high. And I was like, all right, dude, like, you got to get down. So that's kind of how the day ended with work, which sucks. So, but he's still going to drive the truck on Monday. And then on Monday, we're going to let him go. And, yeah, no, it definitely was, people, like, he saved up his whole life. He retired years ago. He's had a couple of losses in hurricanes. So well, he lost everything in Ian, and he's still been rebuilding. And then he lost everything again with Helene, with the storm surge, because he lives right up there on the river. And so he's had back to back loss. And it's like, dude, it sucks. And like, even when Ian hit, he was in the hospital getting the bypass. And so you look at the scenario of events over the course of his life, and like he did everything right, but then like he got canned from the other job because he was too slow and he was getting older, and it's just like, looking at the things. And like, when I was talking to him yesterday when he was leaving, he's like, I can't do this. Like, I just can't. I can drive a truck, but I can't load equipment. It's like, yeah, well, it's kind of the job. And he was like, well, I really need the job. He's like, I'm spending $2,000 a month out of my savings. He's like, I can't sustain that. Like, I need to work. And it was just a really sad ending to the day, thinking about somebody's situation. And like, luckily, I talk to people when I'm out, so I already know where I'm going to send him to be able to get a job where he can just sit in a truck, which is good. So I'll send him to one of the companies that we actually do a lot of work for, and he can just drive, but he just can't do it for us. But yeah, no, that was a crappy ending to a very, very long day of foolery with people making mistakes and having to fix those mistakes, and like, all right, whatever. And then of course last night we went out, date night, tacos, drinks. Like that was a good time. Good ending to the day. But yeah, good day, fun day, crappy day, great time with the wife, all that. And she's the one who heard my alarm going off this morning because I did not. My phone was in the office, and she's like, "Your alarm's going off." I said, "No, it's not. I don't miss alarms." And now it's been going off for a minute, so good times. And I have to blow my nose. I mean, it's like so like congested. I know you can hear it because I can hear it. I'm just like, I can't breathe. It's a good time. Yeah, a really good time. I'm gonna mute it because it's gonna be super loud, nasty. And it didn't mute.
All right. So while he comes back, I know he's listening to me. Still listening to me? We muted it. Let's wait till he comes back. That's like $2,000 right there.
You know how we roll. Oh man.
Oh, when I heard that there were at the ports and all that shit and the paper and toilet paper, I'm like, not again, dude.
Yeah, no. That's how I felt about it too. It's just like, but I got so angry.
I mean, come on, what the fuck?
I got so angry.
Yeah, let's go out there and buy extra shit that we don't need just because.
The panic of the human animal. You know that. Oh no. But I mean, I talked to my buddy, and he had called me on Thursday while I was working, and I wanted to talk to him about putting some stuff out of the property, like just in case, which is fine. But he was like, "Yeah, I just bought a 3-year supply of food." I was like that. And he's like, "Yeah, it's like that right now." He's like, "My brain's going nuts," and I mean, he's got a decent sized family. He's got 4 children plus his wife, so he has a heavy hat.
Yeah, he does.
For real. And so he was just like, I bought a 3-year supply of freeze dried food. And I mean, a 3-year supply is what lasts a family of, 6 for probably a year and a half. Um, and he's like, well, if it gets that bad, I was like, if it gets that bad, we have more problems than you
Yeah, he
do.
does.
I was like, well, that's literally full blown civil war if it gets to that point where you're dipping into food like that. And it's like I'm kind of crazy. Like I have a month, and I have a month because of the hurricanes. And the longest we've ever been without power with a hurricane has been 13 days. And so I figure if we can survive on 13 days with the stuff that we have in our house, we don't have to go shopping with canned foods and all that other stuff. And then I have my MREs and all that stuff. And it's like, if it gets to the point where we're going past 30 days, I was like, dude, I'm going hunting.
Of course.
Like that's all there is to it. So
No, and if you're getting to a point where like you can't go to the store and there's no fucking store for 30 days, it doesn't fucking matter who you shoot, what you shoot, or where you shoot.
yeah, it's just like it's if it gets past 30 days, it's like well, again,
You know,
like
even the
we
neighbor,
have a freaking
even
problem.
even the neighbor's dog is full game.
I don't know if I could eat a dog.
Yeah, you can.
But, yeah, I
Yeah,
say
we
that
can.
now. It
Yeah, we can.
depends on how hungry you get.
Yeah, we
So
can.
I was like, but cats, meow,
Yeah, yeah, we can. Yeah,
meow.
cats are great high in protein. The problem the problem is that their meats are really stringy. I've heard. I've never tasted it, but I've heard
Yeah.
really tough.
I'm super allergic to cats, but I do hate cats. So they'd be the first to go. That and all those ducks that I see everywhere. I'm sorry, my friend. Duck is delicious and it
Duck
is
is good. Duck is good. No,
great.
listen, duck is great.
Yeah.
You
That's one of
know,
my favorite dishes. So
duck is great. I have no problem. You know, the problem. You know, I have taken one from the farm, you know, from the canals before. I've taken one before. I was a lot younger too, and I didn't know how to kill it, and it was a gruesome experience. But I still ate it. But I still ate it.
I didn't even think about that. Like not knowing how to kill it. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, dude, I must have been 15 years old, and yes, I know how to shoot or whatever. I never thought, you know, I'm used to killing chickens. My dad taught me to kill chickens with
Mm.
just grabbing their neck like this, right? Yeah, holding them by their feet, grabbing their neck, stretching it out, putting over your leg, and then literally you just snap,
Okay.
right? So I can kill a whole bunch of chickens like that. Just pop, 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 get them ready for start peeling and whatever. Because my mom had her little farm up there in Lakeland. We that's what we did all the time. You know, she
Yeah.
had hundreds of chickens and a whole bunch of hogs, and I would help her out. You know, like we neutered the hogs one day. We
Oh,
neutered
that's
we neutered the hogs the old-fashioned way.
like you
That's
bar
like you grab them, you fucking hold them, you muscle them down, stay still, and other guys out there grabbing those fucking nuts, slicing one slice, popping them both out, pop,
No.
popping them. There's no anesthesia, there's no nothing. Popping them both out, pulling, yanking the fucking nuts out with all the thing,
That's horrible.
and then filling the sack with coffee. Done. You're in
That is the most
30, 30 seconds.
that's
30,
horrible.
slice in coffee. You're good to go. Go. And
Oh,
the coffee prevents any bleeding, any infections, anything like that. It's fucking
no.
sick.
That's one of the worst things I've ever heard in my life. Yeah, no, that's horrible.
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
cool.
that was that was all. I mean, come on, that was all my stepdad. You know, he's old time. You know, Cuban refugee. He's been in jail. I don't know how many times in Cuba, and then finally made it here. And he built a little fortune for himself. You know, he did quite well. He was real
Mm.
successful. Knew how to build houses. He built three or four. Actually, a house down the street from here.
Hmm.
He built. Let me see. And he had some property in Del Rey. He bought one piece of property in Del Rey. I don't know how many years ago. He sold it. I don't know how long he owned it for, but I know he bought it for 25,000 and he sold it for $1.1 million.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah,
Good stuff though.
you know, and
That,
it sold it.
that's the
It was
American
sold
dream.
to the CRA, to the Community Redevelopment Agency of Del Rey.
No kidding.
Yeah. So yeah, it was probably sold a little higher than normal, but they really wanted it, you know. So there you go.
It's a good thing that we're we're done with the editing crew because that little clip about cutting nuts would be the next reel that they chose.
Mm.
That would be the next one.
So
So
are they completely done with all the 14 videos now?
there's one more today.
All right.
One more today. I was like, I needed a reel to post last night when I was getting off of work. I was like, well, maybe I can choose one of the ones they did. And I went back and looked at it and watched it. I was like, I can't post that. All right. It's like it was on my screen when I woke up this morning. And it's like the last thing that was paused was Starbucks eat a dick. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
I can't put that up there. It's still funny.
Starbucks eat dick. I
It's
love it.
so funny. But nah, it's cool. So I'll get back to work on that this weekend and start banging on that.
So today's recording is day 57, I think it is.
This is day 57. Wow. No kidding.
Yeah. So we're only halfway there.
Yeah, that's so crazy. Um, I reached out to a couple people I know and waiting to hear back. I know there's a guy that's connected to First Form that actually boxes that I had started talking to that I might reach out to as well. Um, that's yeah, cool cat, like him. So we'll find somebody that's gonna do the job right. But I don't think he'll be doing one a day. So I need to find somebody that wants to do one a day or do a block.
Yeah. Block would be nice.
Yeah, so we'll figure it out. So if you're watching this and you know how to edit, you have a block of work that I can look at and you're competent because the deal is that I want somebody that can do better than I can. And I'm good. I'm not phenomenal, but I'm good. So yeah. And I don't want to have to tell you what to do and then check your work every single day after I told you what to do.
That's where the competent part comes in.
I mean, sometimes you have to explain things. So I want to make sure I'm clear. How was your day yesterday? You're pretty quiet usually. Well, you're kind of quiet today, usually pretty chatty.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. This whole week has been a weird week, like a reset week, like Sebastian turning 21 pretty fucked our perspectives a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
myself and my wife's just the whole aspect of holy shit, dude, you
Reality.
know? Yeah,
Yeah.
it really did. Because I mean, I also had a boo-boo, a fuck up at work that was I think I'm beating myself. Dolly told me straight up. She's like, "You're an idiot. Stop beating yourself up for it." But I don't have mistakes. I don't make mistakes, and I know that if you're not making a mistake, you're not working. You know what I mean? But I
Mm-hmm.
really, 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 really like. I've always been really meticulous in that sense. I understand, but my mistake, and nobody yet has shown me what I did wrong. Listen to what I just said. Nobody yet. So let me tell you what happened. I get a phone call, say about 6 o'clock at night, not yesterday, day before.
Mm-hmm.
Nest, what exactly did you do to XYZ airplane to this? And I was like, I put it on MEL. What does it mean? MEL is there's minimum equipment list. I said, I found the problem. I troubleshot it. I found the problem. They're going to send me parts, and that's it. And so they sent me a specific procedure that I needed to do in order to release the airplane because they are going to deactivate the heating, anti-ice heating part of the wing leading edges,
Okay.
because that's the part that was in up on the right hand wing. The heating of the leading edge was not reaching its final destination.
Okay.
Okay, so it turns out that there's a lot of fiberglass inside these heating elements. Okay. And after a while, if it gets old, they just start breaking down and they get clumpered up. Like they just break down. It is what it is. So I said, hey, you have an obstruction, probably a fiberglass. You're gonna have to replace this whole thing. And they said, okay, no problem. So they said, let's go ahead and deactivate it. Now, is it necessary to deactivate it? No, it's not. But excuse me, they say in order for not to, so the pilots won't accidentally turn something on that they can't use because it's not really working properly. Nothing would have happened to the fucking wing if you would have used it in flight. Just saying, nothing would have happened. But because they decided to deactivate it, and they sent me a procedure, it was one page, and I'm reading this thing, and I really didn't understand it too well. No, I'm not gonna lie, I did not understand it. And then I said, I have to find a manual. Where is the manual reference? Listen to what I'm saying. A manual reference. Where is it?
So
I
you
need
wanted
to
the step by step
Yes.
procedure.
Yes. I wanted to see exactly how it's done. So here's the step by step procedure. So I went over here and I went to the manual, and then I went to the manual to the location that they sent me. It was like fucking section 4, Charlie Bravo, question 2 or whatever, step 2.
Yeah.
So I'm following this diagram, but I was not, and then it points me to a cannon plug. It points me to a cannon plug, and I'm like, huh. I guess all I got to do is just disconnect the power to it. And I start thinking, and I said, hey, it makes sense. Listen to my fucking theory.
You're like going through the whole.
I am. I said, hey, so if I need to activate the anti-ice system on this airplane in the air, what happens? So I push a button. I turn the switch on, which opens my valves, and my valves automatically allow the airflow to go through and then to the wings. I said, it makes sense. You disconnect the cannon plug, and I even put them on in a bag, and I fucking tied them properly so it's nice, and dude, I was proud. I said, yeah, it's cool. I said, I only had to do that. I deactivated the system. I didn't know those motherfuckers were in fail-safe open. So when he called me, he goes, Nest, you burnt the fucking wings. And I was like, shit. I mean, that's a phone call I get 2 days ago. So I'm like, you burnt the wings. And I'm like, he goes, tell me it's exactly, this is what we talk about. This is what we talk about. I have to be able to back up anything and everything that I fucking did, and the reason why. So I enter into fucking flight or flight mode, right? I'm like, fuck, dude, how bad did I fuck up? So I start reading I read again, and I'm like, and I highlighted everything. I'm like, this is exactly how I did and why I did it. Here, I sent it out. So when I sent it everything, I didn't get a response. The next morning, I'm talking to Dolly, and I was like, yo, I feel bad. I need to call. She goes, yeah, you should call him and find out.
Yeah.
So I called in, and I was like, hey, so what's going on, man? Did I fuck up? He goes, yeah, you fucked up. I'm like, dude, how bad? I mean, how can I fix this? I'm asking all the right questions, and I'm showing interest. I'm taking ownership of my fuck up, but I need to know what the fuck I did wrong, because if you don't show me, I'm not learning anything.
Yeah.
And I
if
have
you don't
yet.
know, then history repeats itself.
Yeah, I need to figure it out, Now, and I started thinking, I have, and I called another buddy of mine, and I said, hey man, based on this sheet here, what would you do? And then I said, and then he goes, no, I got to go look at the manuals. I said, I got the manual here. Please tell me if I'm looking at the right manual. So I sent him the other thing, and he's looking at him and goes, yeah, but there's something off. And I'm like, I didn't see anything off. Please tell me what you're looking at. He goes, Nest. He goes, usually out here, these little valves have a safety mechanism that you can turn it. You can turn the valve when it's not powered. So you can manually probably turn it. I said, I didn't see that. I know what you're talking about, but I didn't see it. And I've taken these valves out before, and I held them in my hands because I swapped left to right just to make sure it
Mm.
wasn't a valve issue, you know. And the problem still stayed on the same side. So I did my troubleshootings, and I was like, I held these valves in my hands, and none of them did. You know, they didn't have that. I said, I see a direction of flow arrow, but I didn't see a fucking. You know, sometimes you can stick a
Like a
screwdriver, either a
90.
Phillips, yeah, it just
No.
and done, right, and just close it. It wasn't like that. And I'm like, fuck, what am I doing? I don't understand. Fuck. So in my mind, I was not wrong. And I signed off the release and I let the airplane go. Yes, I would put my mother on that airplane. I
Yeah.
really would have. I mean, that's exactly how I felt. Well, I messed up and I should, you know, I don't think they IFE'd, which means that they in-flight emergency. I don't think they in-flight an emergency into Dallas. I think they were flying to Dallas, and then when they're on the ground, engines are still running, and you're in Dallas in the middle of summer. Yeah, dude, you're gonna overheat. So that's probably what happened. They fucking go
Okay.
beam, 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 overheat, overheat, wings overheat. How are the wings fucking overheating? Holy
Mm.
shit! You know, if supposedly he shut this bitch down, so that's probably what happened. Nobody's confirmed it yet. This is my speculations,
Mm.
you know. But I
And
hate feeling like this.
that's a small plane.
Yeah, yeah. It's eight passenger.
But I mean, it sucks because like you did the procedure that was sent to you, and then you even took the initiative to take the extra step to go to the manual, and then like and so that
The procedure wasn't clear enough, so I'm
well,
like,
that's what
I have to find a manual. Yeah,
and
and
that's
it
that
made a reference.
sucks.
Yep,
And I
it
was like,
made a reference.
the guy was he's like, well, there's usually a valve, and you were like, I know, I looked for that, and it wasn't there. And it's just like that's a crappy situation, like a
You
really crappy
know,
situation.
yeah, because it was one of those things like I was destined to fail anyway, regardless of the matter. It's like I take it the other way. Okay, cool. What learning experience am I learning from this? You know what I
Mm,
mean? What's my takeaway from this? No, but listen to what I'm just saying. No one has called me about this problem. The airplane has came back already, and somebody else is working it where after I troubleshot it and everything. They wanted pictures, they wanted this, they're getting all the new parts. You know what I mean? I really thought I was going to have that job this weekend. I was going to make,
mm,
and so they've called me for other work, but I haven't taken any other work because the other work that they called me yesterday. No, 2 days ago they called me for something. I haven't worked. I've been staying home, fucking like
I
Sebastian's
remember.
birth. So Sebastian's birthday was 2 days ago, right? So and then and then I came home early, and on the third I stayed all day. On the fourth, I stayed and cleaned the house, and I got everything ready because today everybody's coming over for a barbecue. You know, so I got to go shopping later. I got to go buy the meats, and she already ordered the meats. I just got to go pay for them and get everything ready. I got to go pick up the fucking. I don't have a good barbecue. You know, I only use little Weber's.
I've been
The
on the classic Weber for a minute, and
Yeah, I love them.
it's hard for me to go off of the classic Weber.
Yeah, I have two. Yeah, and then my father-in-law, he has a decent gas Weber, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna have to borrow. He goes, no problem. So I'm gonna go pick it up in my van and borrow it. He doesn't, but so it's like, I took my mom home yesterday. Um, so my mom, yeah, we got time. So my mom decides. She asked me. She goes, I was walking into the kitchen, and she goes, so I'm thinking I want to go home. What do you think? I'm like, sure. That's it. I didn't say anything else. I said, sure. And she goes, huh? I thought you were going to tell me, no, mamita, let's wait a little bit. I'm like, no. I said, listen. And I said, you wouldn't ask me if you weren't thinking about it. You wouldn't ask me if you didn't feel strong enough about it. You wouldn't have asked me if you don't want to go. So who the fuck am I to tell you, please stay? I'm not. You're something is making you feel uncomfortable, or you feel strong enough that you're like, you know what, let's go.
Of
And I'm like,
course.
I'm all about it. I said, I love you to death, Rapido. She goes, I really thought you were going to tell me to stay. I'm like, why would I?
I love
Oh, but
that.
you don't want me here. I'm like, God damn it, dude. Really?
I love it.
I never said that. I never said that. But whatever. If you want to take it that way, it's all you. So I went back and I didn't even pay attention. And then she was walking by and I said, listen, how do you feel? She goes, I feel great. Are you strong enough to go by yourself? Yes. What is the only thing that worries you? And then she goes, uh, well, my brother was gonna help her brother, right? So my uncle was gonna come over and he was gonna help her clean the house because it's full of dog hair and everything. And she didn't want, she wanted the house clean before she went back. It's not, she's not gonna be able to clean the house very well. I said, oh,
Hmm.
I said, of course, don't, no problem. Let's see what we can do. So my wife volunteered hers. She goes, oh, she goes, hey Maria, uh, Simone is coming today. We can take her day and just swap
Swap
out,
it.
swap it instead of coming and cleaning this house. This house is actually half decent, you know. I said, let her go to your house. She goes, really? Oh, thank you. So my wife solved that issue right there immediately. So now there's two of us saying, yes, you can go. What's the point? Right. Um, so anyway, I took her home and dropped her off. My little brother was there. He's like, yeah, I know I'm not working today, but I got a side gig. And I'm like, I don't need excuses, dude. It's cool. I don't need you to tell me what your whole life is about. If I ask you, I don't know. I'm a dick when it comes to that. I really don't give a shit. If I don't ask you, don't fucking tell me your life story. I really
Uh,
don't, you know,
that's
you're giving an excuse as to of why you're using your mother's car at noon on the day that you're off. But I don't care. I really don't. It's not my car. If she says you can use it, I am. It's. I can't tell you
he
not.
looks up to you on a level that you don't even understand.
I have
It's
no. I have. Listen. I
it's
understand him. I know he does. I love him so much, and I know I'm almost like a father figure to this kid because we dude, I was the one, and I know I acted a fool when I was growing up, dude. I was 15 years old, I remember, and I whooped him like my dad whooped me once. And I
no kidding.
yeah, I did. And then I cried, and I remember that I told him I would never do that shit again. I'm so sorry. you
It's
know
rough.
I was 15 years old. He was 8,
Oh wow.
9. Yeah,
Rough,
we're
rough.
I'm 6 months, 6 years older than him. So it's like I was 6, 7 years old, 15. So he must have been 8, 9, you know? So I was like, it was just, no, dude.
Um,
We lived by ourselves. We at that age because my parents they needed to come back. We were in Colombia staying with a cousin, with an uncle. And then I got into an argument with my step my aunt, my uncle's wife. I just can't stand the cunt to this day, probably. I don't know. She
dude,
never made it. She never made it past. You know. Yeah,
can you see the blue in these lenses? Like
yeah,
that's insane.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
If I had
Um,
mine on, you'd probably see the blue. But that's crazy.
that's a lot of blue. I was like, why are my eyes burning so bad? These, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
the blue
there's
lights.
there's an agent that has an office here and like right around the corner or that I used to work out of. And every time I would call her, no matter what day of the week it was an immediate string of excuses. Like hey, what how are you doing today? Oh well, yeah, just getting ready to leave the house. Well, I gotta take the kid, but and it would like it would her be her giving me her busy work why she wasn't doing what she knew that she was supposed to be doing every time I called her. And it took me a while to figure out because she was looking at my work habits and she knew good and damn well that I had been working since like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
and it's noon and she was leaving her house. And it didn't matter what time of the day I called her, she always had, oh yeah, and she would like try to tell me what she had been doing to busy herself from doing what she knew she was like. She was trying to explain herself all the time. And I was like, what? I asked my wife, I was like, why did she do that? She's like, she looks up to you. I was like, oh, well, why wouldn't she just execute on what she's supposed to do instead of, she's like, well, people aren't built like that. Why? Why?
It's in
It's
the
so much
programming.
easier to do the work than
It's
to
in
explain
yes,
why
but
you didn't
no.
do the work.
It's in the programming. We're we have uh I don't know. This isn't fucking science, but like we have a comfort gene. Like there has to be something in us that we're constantly looking for comfort. The problem is comfort really doesn't exist, dude. You know what I mean? Because when you get comfortable, when you're in the wild and you're comfortable, you're an animal and you're finally going, ah, oh, I'm satisfied. I ate, I drank, I'm gonna go sleep, and then you get eaten. So
Okay.
you always have to be on your toes. You know, I mean, even my pets, these are wild fucking animals, but they're always on their toes. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter how close they get to me or how comfortable they are with me. You know, if I reach down and I try to grab one, they're gonna run. You know, it's like, oh no,
Mm.
they're constantly on their toes. Us humans, we're not, and we see that, like for example, with our partners, the dogs and the cats, and our domestic fucking animals that what we're domesticated. Like literally, that's exactly what civilization is. It's
Mm.
hey, you're trying to fit into a domesticated fucking lifestyle. You're not
Mm.
wild. And
That makes sense.
a lot of the things that we do are because of our domestication, right?
Mm.
So we're supposed to just raise a family. We're supposed to have kids. We're supposed to go work and pay our taxes. We're supposed to live, right? When in reality, we're just here for the experience, dude. The experience of being a dad, the experience of this, whatever fucking happens to you, it's some type of fucking lesson that we're supposed to teach. Remember, listen. So I just, I almost burnt the wings off a fucking airplane. Nobody said anything to me yet. I'm not gonna go piss in a fucking cup. There was no major accident. I didn't fucking almost kill anybody. Whatever. It wasn't. It was it's a big deal to me. To
Mm-hmm.
me. You know what I mean? Like I've never, this is the first time that I've had uh that I can remember. This is like I've hit airplanes before and cracked panels, and I've caused different things. Like
No.
I'm going up in a man lift. Oh fuck, what happened? There was on the handlebar, on the handle, on the right, there was a bolt sticking out, and that little bolt barely
Of
touched
course.
as I was going up the bolt, so the it wouldn't have touched the fucking surface, but that bolt was sticking out a little bit. So how how did you know what I mean? So now every time I'm on a man lift, I'm like,
Right.
that cost me 5 grand. Actually, cost me like 20 grand. It was 5 grand for the insurance, but anyway, um, I could have made money on that deal and I didn't because
Mm.
of my mistake.
The
Uh
the human animal that experiences it's. We were talking about that last night, where you were talking about those animals are always on edge,
yeah, they are.
and it's very well because when we were walking downtown last night, and I was telling my wife how I'm always so much on edge, I was like, my skin's on fire right now. And she's like, do we just need to go? I was like, no, it's like, it's just, I have a hyper awareness when we're in groups of people. And it was like, it's what it is. It was like when we get some more words not so exposed, I'll relax a little bit. But that's just the reality of like how I operate when I'm in groups of people. And I thought it was always something that was wrong with me, but no, it's just I that's my protective instincts is what it is. Because even when we were in Dallas at one of the leadership conferences, I was walking with Marge and Whitland, and Marge was just like, she was like, I feel really safe around you. And I was like, oh yeah. She's like, yeah. She's like, you pay attention to everything, and you're always in the back. And she's like, you never let anybody get behind any of the women. She's like, even when we come out, like, no matter where we're coming out of, he's like, you always will be behind us. And she's like, and I noticed that. It's like, it's just kind of like, that's just how I feel. Like, I don't know. And I thought that was odd that nobody else had that same instinct.
Listen, dude, I'm walking down the street and I see a couple walking, next to the road, for example, right? And the guys walking on the inside, the girls walking on the outside. I'm thinking to myself, it's the opposite. The guy should be on the outside and the girl on the inside. Why? Because
Snatch.
hello, snatch the purse. It would be inside. If there's anybody walking by, they can push her into the run. So no, dude, you keep her on the inside. You're constantly protecting her. You're walking towards the. There's so many things that we do, and I completely understand you. When I'm out with her in a third world country, and she's like, "Oh my God, it's beautiful! Look at that! Oh, will you look at that? Ah, oh, it's gorgeous. Look, follow me!" And then she just starts walking out, and I'm looking. Now my internal is going. Oh, I'm looking at everything. Oh, don't get close, dude. It's horrible. Like to me, it fucks me up
No.
because she's in complete la la land. She says that she can take care of herself. She probably is very aware of her situation, but she draws attention. She's a very beautiful woman. She draws a lot of fucking attention. I'm not saying that, I wouldn't want to think, like the dark side of humanity, in other words. You know what I mean? It's like, it's there, you just don't want to find it one day.
Right.
So,
Nobody wants to have to combat evil.
Yeah.
We know it's there. We don't want to deal with it.
We don't want to go. Yeah, exactly. So, but
like have faith in humanity, but still understand that the evil side is there. Like that's all it is. It's not walking around in ignorance.
No. So what else? So I really haven't. I could have worked. I haven't worked. I'm not working today. Of course, today's the party. I have to have everything ready. I probably will grab an airplane tomorrow just to close out the week. I did some math and I don't have my, it's going to be detrimental.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a detrimental if I don't hit my minimums. And I'm off by quite a bit. But I told Dolly, I was like, I don't feel well. And she goes, just trust the process. It'll be all right. And I'm like, you say that so easily, but I have a feeling like, holy fuck. You know what I mean? Like, just trust the process. It's like, okay, so we both understand that that we're ready to retire. She's admitting it now. She's like, yeah, because she enjoys so much spending now that the kids are gone. Now she's not spending so much time. Now that the empty nesters, you know what I mean? Like, and she hasn't she hasn't gone through menopause. Like she's not that old, you know? So in her mind, she's like, I still have life. You know what I mean? I need to go out there. And so we're talking about doing other things, but I kept telling her, I was like, I got to get rid of this house. This house is fucking $6,000-7,000 a month.
Draining
you know, it's draining. Do I
Yeah.
love this house? Would I buy this house in a heartbeat? Of course. This is my home. I've been here. This is the nicest house that we've lived in, and it's perfect for us. We've had a nicer house, but it wasn't perfect for us. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is the nicest house that we've lived in, and it's actually perfect, bar none. There's very small things that I would change, but other than that, this is a nice house. I just don't see myself paying the fucking market value, for this place. But at the same time, now I'm in a position to where I don't want to continue spending this money. You know,
Mhm.
yes, I generate it somehow. Somehow my, you know, it always comes through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's where we talked about manifestations and everything like that. I've been living
Mhm.
on a whim here, literally for about 3 years, like not knowing how I'm paying things. There's certain things that I just said, "Fuck it, I'm not paying you forever. Like, you're gone."
Yeah.
There are certain things that I said that was that was stupid of me. I'm not going to waste any more money. I can't sell it, so I'm just going to say, "Fuck it, let it go." I have done. There are certain things that I've done with that. People are like, "Oh my god, your credit." I've never had good credit. I don't give a shit. There's nothing I can't buy with 50% down anyway. So I am living proof that I have had all the toys and all the fucking joys, and I've never had fucking good credit because I
What's
made sure
worse?
I made sure Sebastian and Gabby have impeccable credit, and I showed them what they can do versus the stuff that I can't. You know what I mean? Once again, this is why you shouldn't do this. You know, my dad never taught me that. My dad never. Plus, not to mention that I'm also fucking crippled. I'm not blaming him only because I did do a lot of it myself, at least 80% of it. But I have the same name as my dad, and my dad had never had good credit, and every time he had something, he would always fuck it up. So my name is tarnished 100%, whether it be fucking, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It's hard for me to get, like, my highest credit card balance is probably 2 grand. You see what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be. I
I,
wish my highest was only 2 grand.
you see what I'm saying? You probably got 15, 20,000, 15, 30,000. I
Yeah,
know
I
my
got the
father-in-law's got a
minimalist.
$50,000, line of credit. And I'm like, I need one of those.
No, you
I need,
don't.
well, here's the thing. I was talking to Dolly. I was like, we paid this amount. We actually were talking about doing a consolidation,
Mm.
because if that's the case, it wouldn't hurt so bad because there's a lot of things that we pay right now on a monthly basis that it's well over. If I can
Yeah,
just consolidate it down to one loan, I've done that all the time. I'm
really.
paying, yeah, I'm paying off a loan right now. My father-in-law loaned me 30 grand. It was at like a 1.99% interest rate. It's beautiful. It was dumb. And I loaned me 30 grand about 3 years ago. And in the next 2 months, I'm paying that one off. And that's only a $700 a month bill. That's
Yeah.
$30,000 for less than $800, right? So I told my wife, I was like, if we do our math, we can, I can pay that shit off quickly in like in 3, 4 years, you know? And
Yeah.
that's pretty much our time frame. I told her all these things yesterday. And it's like, you want to spend more time with me, but we need to consolidate. We need to get either we're going to stay here or we're going to leave. But I'd rather leave. I said, we got that trailer, we got this, we got that. We're going to start thinking about the things that we need to do. Um, we need to start looking at what Sebastian and Daphne are doing, because they're here because we asked them to stay. Okay, cool. Hey guys, how much longer are you going to be around? If if I can help them purchase even a duplex, right?
We were talking about that before, possibly
I could
getting a duplex.
I can put Gabby in the other side. I can put Gabby on the other side. We can all fucking move into this little duplex. It doesn't fucking matter. I don't. I just need a bedroom. I don't need anything else. If I can lower my bills down to about a reasonable average America, then yeah. I mean, come on, just this place alone is. Like I said, it's about $7,000 a month. My light bill is fucking almost $700 a month. You know, so
I guess I won't bitch about my $315 light bill that
no,
I was
no,
so,
no.
and I was like, I was trying to figure out why it's usually about 250. And I was like, why is it in the threes? I was like, oh, well, you did have the AC on with the windows open for a month while they were scrubbing the air.
Yeah,
So I'll just kind of take it for what it was. But yeah, $700 light bill. And so we're at the big boys, big sisters, our big brothers, big sisters um, event, and they're talking about the amount of money that FPL has given to them. It's like, yeah, they just donated $1 million to this organization. I was like, bitch, why is my light bill 250?
yeah.
You got $1 million to give away. Why's my light bill 250?
No, it's true. It's true. It's true. It's true. It's true. You know, I don't know.
I don't know how the average lower middle class person is getting by right now.
We talked about like the other day. I went to Publix and bought like four things, and it was $130. Um,
I don't know how they're doing it.
I don't know. Listen, dude. I make a decent amount of money, and I am broke dick. So I'm thinking, how the fuck are certain people doing it? I really had no idea.
Mm.
I have no idea. It's we all have our levels of broke, of course. I have
Mm.
whatever it is that that's my determination. But I also understand that uh, it's all me anyway, too. Though I choose to be like this right now because I'm trying to consolidate down. If I have the money, I'll just
No,
start blowing it anyway.
no.
I'm trying, but because once again, I have the work, I have the means of getting it. But I'm choosing to spend more time not making the money than anything else. But I rather fucking. I told my wife the other day. I was like, in order for this shit to work, it's like we got to start making money on other things.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I can't. We can't rely so much on aviation. I can't, especially after what just happened. For example,
Hmm.
God forbid, dude. God forbid, I would have really fucked up, right?
Hmm.
You know, if it put a perspective on me. I'm like, I depend too much on this income. I shouldn't. I should not. I preach about that shit all the time. The little bit of money that I make on the sides is not enough to sustain my living here.
No,
I could
not to be
probably,
done.
I could probably go get a fucking. If I can get a 55 and over, I'm not there yet, But I'm saying, I know that if I in a 55 and over condo, I can get in there for about 100 grand, and yeah, sure, I can live peacefully with $6,000-7,000 that I bring in every month over there. But
Mm.
you know, I I don't
Yeah,
know how I want to travel.
we
We,
had the
we we both know.
conversation like way too many times, and I think that's why I ultimately wanted to be out of trucking, is because if I made an egregious mistake, then people could come after me for everything that I've ever worked for.
Yeah,
And like a mistake is still a mistake, but like there's a newspaper article. It's a couple of years ago, probably about 4 or 5 years ago now. I think about it, and it was a guy that was coming down E470 in Denver. And when you come down E470 right outside of Denver, you're coming down a mountain,
mm,
and it slopes right off. And traffic was backed up. He lost his brakes. He couldn't control it, and he killed like 2 or 3 people.
ouch.
And they sentenced him to like 21 years in prison or something like that. They pretty much gave him life, and he was a young dude too.
Was he high? I mean, the only way is
No mistakes.
when you get neglected. See, that's the thing in
It,
aviation.
it was equipment failure, is what it was.
You can't blame
And
the kid for it.
and freaking they sentenced them like it was like 25 years. I'll see if I can find the article. And it was just like it was a very sobering experience. It was right when it was the same time where I was fighting with the company that I was working with about them fixing the brakes on the vehicle.
Yeah, but I think it
And
was he must have failed his fucking blood test or something.
no, it was they deemed that he didn't inspect the vehicle properly, is what it was.
That he what?
Didn't inspect his vehicle properly, and so he caught the negligence, and he ended up going getting sentenced. And there was
I've had
somebody that picked it up, and they were trying to fight it for him because I mean it's rough,
I
but
had a friend of mine
you,
get
you look at
pulled out
that
of jail. Yeah.
aspect of it, and then like now, like you're looking at you just had a mistake, you know the civil liabilities, the criminal liabilities, like you're getting it from both sides, and
Yes.
that's where it's just like,
Oh,
shit.
listen. All they do is to look at, dude. You can find shit that's wrong with everybody. You know, it's like they'll nitpick. Nobody's fucking perfect.
Yeah,
You know, it's there's also manuals are there to guide you into. Now if you follow some of the times the manuals aren't written in a way that you have to follow procedures A, B, C in numerical order. Sometimes you go 1A and then you go 4B and then you come back to 2 Charlie and then you know what I mean? It just depends on certain things. They just let you know, hey, this is you can do it like this and blah blah blah. So there's different aspects to manuals and to how things are done when you're signing off your work performed. It's like, so, work performed with reference to, I'm using the manual as a reference, not really sticking to it. Or if you say it was done in accordance with, well, in accordance with means that you did it exactly how the manual says. You did A, B, C, D, So those little things there, truck driver sentenced to 110 years in Colorado, like to kill. Poor guy, dude.
yeah,
Poor guy.
just a freaking kid. He was in his
You,
20s.
you know, you must want to ask yourself, what am I learning from this? What's
Yeah,
the bigger purpose behind that? I wonder. Wow, poor guy.
yeah, like
You know,
he's crying, like sitting there at the desk in court.
of
They
course, I
tried.
would be too.
No, I was like he was literally just a kid. They tried. I'm pretty sure they tried to get it reduced. They were fighting for it, but I don't. I need to follow up on this and figure out what actually happened there. But yeah, and so that's the sobering experience when you're like looking at what I was doing, what I am doing for a living. And that's why I was always like, dude, I have tears in my eyes. That sucks. But yeah, no, yeah, that would be horrible.
There was a couple pilots who fucking crashed the plane down in Naples on on Alligator Alley a
Mm,
couple months back.
mm,
You know, it's like the majority of the accidents, in order for it to become mechanical failure, it's very rare.
yeah,
And this was, it's you guys go through the exact same dirty dozen fucking human errors that we do. You know, every single it's all DOT related anyway, but
mm,
so you guys go through the same thing. You can't be tired. You got to be alert. You got to do this. You know, certain things, but you're not prepared. They don't prepare you. They'll say, you can do all these steps, but you don't. But just know that it's still gonna fuck up.
right,
You can do everything right, but you're still gonna end up messing up. So the only thing you can do is just make sure that at least the shit that you did, and that's what I was trying to do. That's what I always try to do. You know, in my mind is if I'm gonna get a phone call, like for example, like I thought I was doing anything by the fucking book, and I
right.
ended up messing up. And so You know, what was my takeaway on this one? You know, like I tell all the new guys, and same thing. Always ask. Yes, I could have called the factory, going, "Hey, man, I don't understand." It would have taken me 5 fucking minutes, but I
Mm,
but I didn't do that because I am. You know what I mean? It's like usually my intuition is really set point. This one here, I didn't. I never. I think this was all ego. It really
yeah.
was. You know, like
Yeah.
I got this. Ba ba ba. Ah, he fucked you again. You know. So yeah, I learned what to do, but still, though, I need to figure out how I messed up too. Though
Yeah.
I still don't know that one.
Yeah. Well, that's a big deal. It's funny because I was listening to was it Sean Ryan and Joe Rogan the other day, and it was he verbatim said what you had said when you had gotten the strike. But he is like, they're giving me this hard time. They're taking my shit down. They won't even fucking tell me what I did. He's like, tell me what the fuck I did so I don't do it again. He's like, I don't want to fucking deal with this shit.
I don't want to deal with
He's
it.
like, how am
Yeah,
I supposed to fix the problem if I don't know what it is? And it was like, it was verbatim in the same freaking tone that you said it in. And I was just like, yeah, I've heard that before. But, that implies in so many different areas of your life. You're like, yeah, nah. Like, if I don't know what I did, I'm going to keep on repeating the same mistakes. So tell me what the fuck I did so I can correct it. Like, I'm trying
that's
to
why.
learn
Yeah.
better. I'm trying to grow. I don't need to keep on doing the same thing over and over again and regressing and backsliding, and going back to the same state. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, so, like, help me help you. If you know what I did, just tell me so I can fix it. Yeah. But again, it's a very rare mentality. Is something that I've also learned too. My wife was like, yeah, oh, all right, remember that clip inside of the where the guy was blocking the driveway when I was trying to leave when I was like 190,000 pounds? That reel that I made out of that clip has like 7,500 views. Out of all of the content that we've put out, that's 7,500 views. Everything else is like peaks at like 400. And then some of the other, I think all the trucker stuff does good. All of the personal development, the talking, the conversation that's actually valuable.
They
Like,
don't care about.
they don't care.
Yeah,
And my wife is like, yeah, she's like, you guys haven't figured it out yet. She's like, people aren't like you guys. She's like, so like you guys are the very small segment of the population that are looking to do more than what they're doing. That
but
are
here's
trying
the
to
thing.
grow. And
Exactly.
and
Yes.
that's and she was just like, people want to be entertained. They don't want to learn. I was like, but why? Like, I don't get it. She just like laughing at me. I was like, yeah, you'll never get it.
No, I don't get it. I really don't. Because even when you're listening to the podcast and you're doing your drive time university and you're studying yourself and your mind is constantly fucking boom, 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 and you're throwing ideas and you got solutions. So when you listen to two guys talk about their normal everyday, let's just say our bullshit here,
Mm,
this is just what's happening directly to us, but it can relate somehow to anybody else. But most people don't have the time to sit down and to really absorb everything that we're talking about. Now,
mm,
if I was here shaking my ass with a fucking tutu on, you're like, look at this fat motherfucker. That shit's
viral.
hilarious. Let's go
Viral.
shoot. It's done, right? It's done. You can probably see my nut whiskers, and you're like, ah, ha, 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 you're
Gosh.
disgusting. And then make
Yeah,
and
I
then you're
threw up a little
viral,
bit.
right?
So,
But here's the thing, though. Also, we're looking to get monetized on value on what we
mm,
do. So if we're just shaking our ass in front of the camera, they're only gonna fucking put Tide fucking you know
Tide Pods.
pods in our fucking commercials, and that's what people are gonna be looking at. Tide
Mm,
Pods don't pay a lot of money, I presume,
mm,
especially since people like the taste of them.
yeah,
I'm just saying,
the
it's
challenge.
it is. So, but they pay the most in our type of videos. You know what I mean?
Oh,
If somebody really does sit down and start listening, and they do get the fucking educational benefits of it, whatever it may be. You know, I'm thinking there's got to be other ways, because your channel is exactly the same. We have this exact same things. So we can still have to figure out what key thing your audience and my audience. Now we're supposed to be blue collar, regular fucking middle class workers, right? I mean, we're not fucking rich. We're not. We live okay, right? So we're not fucking buying the Fendis and all that bullshit. And, we're looking to fucking save money. We're looking to, live healthier, better, or whatever it is, So we are the majority, and there are guys out there that think like us. I promise you, there's guys out there that love to fish, they love to hunt, they love to shoot, they love to work on their fucking house, on their barn, or their, and get up early. I had a guy come here yesterday. Do you remember I told you when I said, you know what, I'm in halfway decent shape? I had a guy come here one time and we did push-ups. He was surprised. I can knock out 50 push-ups. So that same guy came back yesterday, him and his wife. And this is just a couple that we've been friends for a very long time. For example, the lady, his wife is one of my wife's oldest friends. They've known each other since they were like 5 years old. Like they were neighbors when they were growing up together, and they're still friends to this day. So, and she married a gringo, and he's just a cool dude. So he came over, and he's been working out now for about 4 years, and he's been on the testosterone therapy for 2. The guy looks amazing. He went and had his teeth redone. And then I noticed something though. I saw him and I was like, oh my God, he's getting old. Because he's like 10 years older than I am. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, why does he look so fucking old? And I was like, of course, he's been absorbed by that testosterone. You know how when you get dry, you get really lean, So I was like, that's what it is, dude. He's just fucking he needs to go into a humidifier. So funny. He came out there and he goes, I want to challenge all you guys to fucking push-ups, Dude, he knocked out 62, 63 push-ups in a row. I was like, and I was like, that's good for you, dude. It took you 4 years to get there, I was thinking to myself, dude, he just beat me by like 15 push-ups. I did like 47. I was like, all right, I can. So how bad am I? I'm not that bad, but I am bad. So I got to start working at it again. Especially if I'm doing a run in December that I already signed up for, that I have to go to. Yes.
I still have to see if my wife's coming or not. She's just like,
I bought my ticket, so please bring yours. Let them be spectators. Let them talk shit about us. That's okay.
I think I'm just gonna tell her, because she doesn't drink very much, but they sell alcohol there. So I'm just like, why don't you just catch an early morning buzz, and then you'll just sleep the whole way home, because I'm probably gonna get in the ice bath after we get done, because that's gonna suck.
Yeah.
Because I want to sign up for all 3. Like I really want to do all 3 over that weekend, but I don't want to pay for it.
What?
I don't want to pay for all 3 races.
How much is all 3?
Probably like $600.
Oh shit! Really? For the trifecta?
Yeah, they used to have a pass where they would give you a discount. It would be like $400. But like, yeah. If you're crazy enough to go ahead and sign up to suffer for 2 days and run, it's literally a marathon's worth of miles, and like 120 obstacles, or let's see here, because it's 30 for the sprint. I think it's no, it's 20 for the sprint, 30 for the super, 25. I have to look it up. Hold on, but it's a lot of freaking obstacles and a lot of freaking miles. So let's see here, SpartanRace.com.
Now, here's my question, dude. All right. I am the type of guy that I will always make it to my destination. I've always made it. There's no way I cannot make it to my destination. And I'm using that in very literal terms. For example, whether I be riding a bicycle and I need to go 100 miles, I will make it. I promise you I'll make it. Don't expect me to turn around and fucking come back on the same day, but I will make it. You know, and it's the same way when I'm driving somewhere. It's like, oh, fuck, I just got to get there. I don't give a shit. Just get there, and then I'll deal about how I'm tired or whatever afterwards. But I just need to get there. You know, get there as fast as possible. You know, but coming back, you know, I would think, like, I know, for example, I was doing right up, like, if I rode my bicycle to Nelson's house, I know for a fact I could probably make it in 15 minutes, maybe 20 at the most, which is not bad. The other day I took the bicycle and I went down to the local park where everybody was, they were having a little barbecue, went down to the beach, went to the park, took me 12 minutes. I was like, it's easy. You can always just do that. But, you know, coming back, it was only 5 miles away. And I was like, I don't feel like driving back. It was one of those things, you know, I would have, but if I have options, I won't. Same thing when I'm driving somewhere. I was like, okay, on the way back, it's like, I just gotta, when I'm focused on getting there, I just gotta get there. I don't have a problem finishing that course. Just like, once I do it, there's no sense of doing it again, though. That's what I'm saying. That's where I was getting at.
Yeah.
You know,
That's what a lot of people were like, I already did that. I was like, well, did you do your best?
uh,
Could you improve? And that's why there's so many of those medals up there, is because it's always me going back and trying to improve. And it's the testing ground. Like, all right, so it's been a year since you did this, where are you at right now?
mm,
Like, and like, and legit, every single time I go back, it's better, 100%. And so it was like, I PR'd the crap out of it last time, so it's going to be a very hard pass. Like, I was chasing the top three the entire time.
wow.
Like, and so like it was literally nobody there but us, and we were just getting after it. And so I was like, that's a cool experience.
Yeah, it
Like,
is.
from the guy that, it took me an hour and 19 minutes to do the first one, to meet, like, the picture that I posted was like, I didn't even see the photographer. Like, I was legit on the monkey bars, and you can see that I'm like just dead focused ahead of me, like like fully extended, swinging across, just getting it. And I was like, never even knew they were there. Like, that's there. Those things change you. I don't care what anybody else says. Like, oh yeah, he's like, yeah, no, I've done, you've been there, done that. I was like, yeah. I was like, you went through the motions. It's like, yeah, no, I did it. I was like, yeah, but did you beat it? Like, you know, did you beat the course? Like, no, like, you never do, because you can always do better than what you did last time. And so I'm looking at the trifecta pass. And so I'm just going to run the one race in December, and then, because I think the one race is like two and some change. And then the three races, if I buy it ahead of time for next year, it's only $350 for all three.
Mm.
And so I'll do the one, and then I'll pick a suck weekend, and I'll just suffer through it in the beginning of the year. I say that now. It's usually like I was like I'm gonna run all three, and then it's like me eking in to get the last one. I got the trifecta pass last time, uh, and the only reason why I got it is because they extended the season because of COVID, and so I had ran the Beast in December of the year prior, and then they had extended the season out, so I caught the Super on a blooper because the day that I was going out there, it was literally like a day before the end of the cutoff.
Oh wow.
Got the trifecta pass for that and got invited. Like they send you the email, like congratulations on getting your trifecta. If you want, you qualified to go to Greece and run at the and run at that world championship event or whatever it is.
What?
Yeah, it's on my Instagram somewhere in there. Like, oh, it's like what? Like this is so cool.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, freaking first form sent me a book and like a T-shirt when that happened. When I had
That's
posted
so
that, they're like, that's really really cool. I was like, sponsor me, please.
awesome.
I'd love to do nothing but work out every day for money, but reality.
Listen, dude, that's all I'm chasing right now. I want to become a professional fisherman. Now, I don't mean that I'm going to take people out on my boat and be a captain and they're going to pay me for it. I said, I'm going to make money while I am fishing on my boat. That's
Yeah.
it. That's it. Doesn't matter. You know, I heard that from he really wasn't a mentor. He was a guy that I knew and that I know mentored other people that became my mentors. But there was a guy I remember one time, he wasn't making that much money, but he was still making 600 grand a year 30 years ago. It's
It's not that much money. That's a pretty significant amount of money.
no, it's a very significant amount of money, you know. But he made it so well that he's like, I'm a professional golfer. I'm like,
Mm.
I was like, that's how you make your money, dude? He goes, I play golf every day for 2, 3 hours.
Mm.
And while I'm on the golf course, I make
Money.
hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's it. So I'm a professional golfer. And that stuck with me. And I was like, huh, okay. So I want to become a professional fisherman or a professional painter or a professional fucking musician, guitarist. I want to, I told you, I really do. I want to paint. I have a fucking thing of, I have a whole uh series of paintings
Nice.
in my mind that I need to get on canvas. I have no idea what I'm going to draw or how I'm going to draw it. I have an idea, but I just need to. I have no idea how to do it. Never played with oils. I need to play with oils. Never painted on a canvas. I need to start doing it. I told my daughter, she's the artist. I
Mm.
was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, and she goes, yeah, good luck. I was like, you're not going to help me? She goes, nope. I'm
We
like, all
went
right.
to an art gallery last night too.
We went to one when we were in Wichita. Tell me about your experience.
It was so somebody that my wife had known for a long time that had a piece in that gallery. So it was art walk last night is what it was downtown. But I didn't. I always appreciate the art, certain types of art. Like there was a lot of really really good cool stuff in there. A, a lot of stuff that looked like what I did in college. And the gosh, it was like art concepts or creative something. And I did a lot of charcoal drawings and stuff like that when I was in there. So they had a lot of that stuff. That's some really cool sculptures. But the that particular event was very dark, and when I say it's very dark, it is like there was a presence there that I could feel that made my skin crawl when I was walking, like when we first entered the building. And so I started looking at it, and a lot of it was death, a lot of goth stuff, a lot of like blood, and I was just like, and even my wife, she saw her friend, and she's like, yeah, my husband really doesn't like um like the darker side. I believe that stuff is real, and I can feel it. And before I even looked at a painting, while I was in there, I could feel it. And then people were had on like makeup and like blood, and I was just like, yeah, nah, that's not. And you're just like that's bad juju, like 100%. And so like there was some cool stuff in there. I didn't finish I finished probably a quarter of that the main level, and we left and went somewhere where the energy was good.
It's funny because 98% of the people, 99% of the people out there, and I'm just using an example, they may dress like fucking idiots, or, like, I'm gonna suck your blood, whatever it is. But nobody's got the balls to do anything about it. Like, you can come up straight up and confront and go, "What's up?
Yeah, no,
What's
there
up?"
was zero eye contact whatsoever.
Zero, dude. These people are they shy away. They're always looking away, and they're like, "Yeah, don't look at me." You know, uh, what happened to confidence? Like, hey, I'm ready. Let's go. You're gonna suck my blood. Let's go. Come on,
Yeah,
come
no, it
on.
was just didn't like it. Um,
You know, uh,
but yeah, then that's what like a weak man is not a good man. If somebody's not going to look you in your eyes, there's usually something going on there.
there's something there, dude. Listen, listen. There's the way that they're trying to hide people. We are social creatures. We need to feel that we're part of a pack. It really is, like, even us, what we doing, like, we're creating our own little pack. We need to feel certain things to make us feel important.
Mm.
It's not just a matter of fucking living. Listen, dude, if we just lived, doesn't matter how well we lived, if we just wake up and then we die, we did our part. Doesn't matter what we did. We did our part. We lived and we had the experience. How well we made or how horrible, it's real. It's all perspective based on you. Whether either A, you're going to be content that you didn't do shit but jerk off and scratch your belly button all the rest of your whole life, or that you were an amazing success and you helped, hundreds and thousands, millions of people. And, it's egotistical to want other people to know your name. I want to be able to help them. I want to be able to go out there, and it would be nice if they remembered, hey, you know what? I heard this crazy fucking tattooed guy once, and he said this and this and this, and he was talking with the other guy, and they gave us great advice. That's amazing.
Mm.
Part of the book, The Slight Edge. I always reference that book. I told you guys. I think it is my personal favorite book. That book there talked about what was one time he was driving by a cemetery, and there was, they were burying a guy, and there was only like maybe three or four people there. And I've personally experienced something like that. I went to a cemetery before, and I went to a funeral, and there was only a handful of people, and nobody wanted to talk. They were just there in respect to that person, but nobody wanted to talk. I was like, what kind of life did he
Yeah.
really live? Only reason we're there is because, we touched his heart, or he touched ours to a certain extent. But I was like, I know he touched other people. I know he must have done other things. I know he this and that. And I was like, whoa, you know, how nice would it be to be remembered? But then
Mm.
again, that's also egotistical. It's just weird. Like, we need to learn to live in a complete balance. I mean, look at the what they call the seven deadly sins.
Mm.
You know, we all have a little bit of everything. So, ego, what is that? Sloth, greed, lust. Uh, what is that? When they feed, what is that?
Gluttony.
Gluttony. Uh, we all have a little bit of everything in there, but it all
Pride.
comes to
Oh, yeah.
pride.
Yeah.
It's all
Uh,
it's all there. It's all there. We have it. I'm telling you, we all have a little bit of it. But the problem is how much do we actually let it take care? So if we just do things on being the correct, on just, being the best that we can. Let me see.
It's lust, gluttony, greed, sloth, wrath, envy, and pride.
Yeah.
And you can't tell me that there's sloth is probably that's the one that
That's laziness.
yeah, it infuriates me. But good God, right underneath, like
Wrath.
it
Yeah.
infuriates
That's all
me.
you.
But and that's just
Yes.
like right there.
It's
You
right.
know,
Yeah.
if you
So,
don't if you don't check those, it'll consume you.
you will. Listen, dude, lust. So only fan models, right? We were talking about it last night, having OnlyFans and this and that. I was like, first of all, there's no guarantees that you're going to make $1 million in a day. You, it's possible, but I promise you, you take your clothes off long enough, and you might build a decent channel, build a decent following. You have to remember, most of these people, they only need what? How do you make $1 million? You get 500 people to pay you fucking, what is it, 20 bucks? No, 5,000 people to pay you 20 bucks a month.
It's nothing.
There you go. That's how do you make $1 million a year? 5,000 people to pay you 20 bucks a month. Well, she's got 30,000 paying her $5 a month. You know what I mean? Or $10
Yeah.
a month.
Yeah.
Well, hello.
And
So,
that's the weakest of the weak.
right?
And there's more weak than there are strong.
So, at my wife's a friend, they were talking about that last night. She goes, "Well, can I open up an OnlyFans?" And her husband's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have to put it in your asshole." And I was like, "No, dude, you can open up an OnlyFans and not do anything. It's okay. You can, I know fighters. That they're just training. Hey, follow me on my OnlyFans. Whatever it
Mhm.
is. I'll give you a quick sneak peek into. It's like whatever it was, the $4 to $10 a month, or whatever it is, the $5 a month, and
Hmm.
they're doing okay. They're just sustaining because their main
Never
thing,
know.
their focus is on the other stuff. Now, if
Hmm.
you're over there showing fucking, yeah, let me show you what my feet can do. You know, you got see, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's
Uh,
crazy. It's crazy that people would pay to see that, and those are the people that are making. But then again, you're degenerating yourself. You're um not really. I mean, there's a right and wrong, right? There is no right and wrong. Everything is just is. So in your mind, you're doing okay. You're not hurting anybody. You're home alone. You're just taking the fix, but you're hurting your spirit. You're hurting yourself. You're
oh yeah.
degrading your value. If you're a guy or you're a girl and you're doing certain things on camera for attention, then you're hurting your spirit, dude. You're hurting yourself 100%. How
Yeah.
different how different is that from just doing it for fun, because they're doing it specifically for the money.
Yeah.
We have no, if you're just putting it publicly, then you really have no expectations, and you're pretty much hoping that something's going to go viral and you'll make a living out of it. But other
Yeah.
than that,
Carnal carnal sin is uh, is what keeps coming to mind when I think of it's the major vices that suck you down into the hole of hypnotic rhythm is what keeps plopping into my mind from Outwitting the Devil.
yeah,
And it's like you're getting to the point where you've created a habit that
yeah,
is based off of something that is detrimental that takes over you. And so, like when you think about people that sexual crimes, and they get to that point where they feel like they're drawn and they can't control it, and I had to do it. And it's like, well, it's because you opened the door, and once you open the door, it's like it's very hard to pull yourself back out of that stuff. Like you look at the gluttons, or we talked about the people that and they have a actual chemical response when they're eating certain things, and you can literally see their eyes light up when they're doing it. The rage monster, that can't control their anger, the emotional outburst, the wrath, and it's like it's just you start sliding down this path, and it feels like it's impossible to get out of, and the only way to get out of it is to seek something outside of yourself because you're not going to be strong enough to do it, and it's a sad thing. And there's actually a wine that is named the seven deadly sins. Yeah.
Oh wow.
My wife brought it home one day, and I looked at her and I was like, What you got going on here?" And she's
Yeah.
like, "What? It was BOGO." And I was like,
Duh.
"All right, here, check this out. So this is actually a thing." And she's like, "No, it's not." And
Yeah, there is.
yeah, so it is. But yeah, that's so crazy. But yeah, that's it's a very slippery slope, and I think I tell everybody to read that freaking book. I'll tout it to the end of my days. Read that effing book. Listen to that freaking book of
I'm
Outwitting the
telling
Devil.
you.
Uh,
The first I've listened to it about four times. The first, like I said, the first time it was crazy of the conversations that this guy was having with himself, and I'm like, I know exactly what he's talking about. It scared the shit out of me. I'll tell you something. So, in my experiences with Toad, there was one time that this is towards the beginning. I don't know exactly how many times I had done it, but I became a guinea pig to myself. Like, okay, so I've I opened up certain aspects of myself, and I need to learn more. And I'm like, all right. And then I started studying. I have a whole encyclopedia on DMT and the different types, and and so forth, and Toad, and in that aspect, I remember. Just to give you an idea, I used to do it. For example, I used to take a hit in my bed, sitting on my bed, whatever. My wife would watch me. So that one incident, for example, I woke up and I was on the floor, and I'm looking at my wife, and she's like this, looking at me. And then the first words out of her mouth, excuse me, first words out of my mouth, I said, "Where is she? Where's my
mm,
wife? You are not my wife."
mm,
And then her face changed, and she's looking at me. And I said, "Oh, there she is." I said, "Hey, baby, I missed you." Right? That was it. She came back and she goes, "What did you see?" And I was like, "Well, I learned something at that moment, that there was a fight between good and evil, the devil and if we want to give it names, God and the devil were in my fucking brain, and the fight for good and evil was happening within me.
mm,
It was bar none. And then when my wife was looking at me, I read her thoughts. She was thinking some really nasty shit. And I'm like, "Where's my wife? You're not there. You're not there."
mm,
And when she said that, when she goes, "What did you see?" I told her, I was like, "It wasn't you."
uh,
And she goes, "I didn't like you at that moment. I was thinking like, ah, look at this motherfucker." Like,
mm,
she was thinking some stupid shit. And then when I called her out on it, and it's happened to us a couple of times, like I can read her thoughts, you know, and like we'll connect to that sense. But realizing that the true fight of good and evil isn't out here. It's
it's in
always
your
with
mind.
it. It's always within us, because we are the ones who decide whether to do evil things or not. What we
Mhm,
consider evil acts, right?
mhm,
We really do. Whether we have a mental discapacity, where and our thoughts just lead to actions. Something's in my mind telling me to go stab the fucking cat, right? Or be fucking retarded, or go out and play in the middle of the fucking traffic, whatever it may be. All of that. you know? Yeah. So it just comes more down to the realization that we do have the capacity and to alter our perception of reality. We really do. And that was, to me, that was a king. And now just to read that book and to listen to that book, which I've done afterwards at the same time. And I even told you recently when you brought it up again, I listened to it again, and I'm
Yeah.
the whole time I'm going, get chills down my spine, because it's exactly that. Like we do, and we don't think about it, but when we do, we're like, holy shit, dude, we are 100% a mixture of what we consider good. We have the capacity of to do evil. We have the capacity of doing good. It's this: how bad do you really want it? Listen, dude, I would never kill anybody. I would not harm. Yeah. How about you starve for a week and with your son or your daughter? Would you hurt somebody? I'd kill them. Exactly. So you never really know what determinations or factors, whatever it may be. Yes, I'm going to go. How many times I've been living in Colombia? I remember I've been robbed, at gunpoint. Actually, gunpoint never. At knife point, I've been robbed. Uh, I've been gang banged, like fucking just like three or four guys who just rush you, take
Okay,
me.
so let's go ahead and correct that little speech right there. You haven't been gang banged. You've been
No,
jumped.
yes. Thank you. I got jumped by three or four
You're
guys. It was a gang and they were fucking, kicking me. But yeah, no gang bang, dude. I'm still a virgin. Thank you.
You're welcome.
My English is not very good looking, you know. That's that. I love that quote from Celia Cruz.
But yeah, no, I think I'm gonna have to listen to the book again now that I've opened that door.
You have to, yes, because dude, these conversations, when I sit down and I'll go out there. I know we're extended in our on our chat today, but usually I'll go out there right after our chats and I'll start meditating. I'll start thinking. Most people, it's praying. Just to me, is I just start talking to myself. What am I doing? And I'll wait for an answer. You know, it's like the other day I talked to myself and I was like, "Are you sure you know what you're doing? Just trust the process." Is the only thing that kept popping into my mind. Trust the
Yeah.
process. Trust the process. Trust the process. It isn't immediate. Trust the process. And I'm like, I know, but it just gets aggravating. It gets like, holy shit. Especially after, for example, how much more time I want to be able, knowing that I have the capacity, but it's not. My wife's like, we're not ready yet. I'm like, well, what are we doing to get ready? So it becomes one of those things. Are we, we're still spending fucking a shitload of money a month. I'm like, let's downsize. Let's start doing this. I can work, dude. I can work once a month, and I can take one job a month and make 10 grand. You know what I mean? It's like, depending on the job, if everything's right, you can always you look for the right jobs. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. But if you don't have to, I know a guy who I didn't. I know two guys, and now I understand their positions. They work like 3-4 months a year in aviation, and then the rest of the time they're out there enjoying it. And internally, I was like, dude, you make $20,000-$30,000 every month for the next fucking blah blah blah. I said, whatever happened the rest of the time? He goes, nope, I'm enjoying my life. I'm spending in this. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm enjoying it. Yeah, but look how much money you're leaving on the table. It's not about that. I've learned that now. I really have. It's not about making 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, $70,000 a month and having all the experiences in the world and blah, 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 or having access to it. But at the same time, now I'm thinking, okay, cool. So what is the bare minimum I need to make, and how can I help people with my minimums? Because
No.
my maximums I want to use for myself. You see what I'm saying? So listen, the object of making money or having money capital is extremely important, because you can't help your neighbor if you're not financially sound yourself, right?
No.
I don't know who this lady was, but I saw her talking one day on an Oprah Winfrey show. It was just short. I don't even like to watch Oprah, but there was a special short that I saw this lady at, and she said something that was amazing. It blew my mind. I'm like, she is 100% correct. We need to be more egotistical towards ourselves. We are not. We're all about fucking, let's love everybody. Well, how can you be 100% true to yourself? You can't if you're 100% true to everybody else. You have to be true to yourself. You have to have your minimums for yourself. In other words, I am willing to give any, if anybody's thirsty, whatever spills out of my cup you may have. I need to have my cup always full. It's not about me drinking from my own callus, drinking from my own cup. Oh, I have to fill it back up so I can offer you some. You see what I'm saying? I need to, mine always has to be full and overflowing in order for me to help you. Because if I'm draining and I'm giving to you being drained, I am actually making you a thief because you're not working for yourself. You're not drinking for yourself. You're taking away from mine. Unconsciously, I'm making you a thief. You're stealing my shit. So as much as I would like to say, no, 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 I'm giving them whatever. Yeah, but have you ever done that? No, we haven't. You know, um, that right there hit really hard because that just proves that you have to succeed in order to be able to help. And that's exactly what I've been telling everybody else. You can't go out there and help your mom, your sister, your family, your brother. You can't help anybody. Like, oh, can you send 1,000? I'm sure you can, but I'm saying, can you send $1,000 in an emergency to somebody in your family? Hey, I need $1,000 right now, life or death. Most people can't do that. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Most people can't do that. But in order to be able to do that, you need to put yourself in a position where you can, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a quote that popped into my head. I have these quotes all the time, but I don't know who say them. I thought it was Mother Teresa, but apparently it's not. No, the best thing you can do to help the poor is not to be one of them.
Is not to be one of them.
Yeah, Andrew Matthews. I thought that was Mother Teresa for some reason, but I mean that's you can't the oxygen mask, same thing. Like you can only do so much for everybody else. You gotta do you first.
You gotta do you first. And you're criticized, right? Oh, look at this guy.
Fuck them.
Hey, can I borrow? Hey, can I have? Hey, can I? Fuck you, man. Yeah. Oh, speaking of hey, fuck yous. So I still haven't talked to the brother, right? But it's like I have been home for 3 days. Been a week. Yeah. I've been home, but I'm the one that needs to go to his house and to talk to. I was like, you know what? Fuck you. You're coming over today. If you want me, I'll pick you up earlier if you really need to talk. But I don't need to talk to you. I don't. This whole argument was like, I have to talk to you and you're not giving me the time. Like, you know where I am. Just come and see me. But anyway, that's another one that I'm like, fuck about.
That's funny. That's too funny. Well, yeah, you don't get me to say fuck you very often, but that's a good one right there. Because people I think I asked you about this before. Like, you commonly have people reach out to you and ask you for money, and you're yes. Like, and my wife was like, I don't understand it, like why people keep on reaching out, like people that I haven't talked to in like 25 years. Like, hey, yeah, can you give me a hand? Like, yeah, look at the end of your wrist. What do you see there? Yeah, okay, go ahead, get to fucking work. Because like I work really hard.
Dude, I've sell things. If I need money, I'll sell things. And people don't get rid of their own shit. That's very true. I will gladly listen, dude. I've sold and pawned jewelry that I've lost. You know, like, oh, I'll get it back. I'm getting it back, and I never got it back. Dude. Yeah. I never got it back. So I learned. I was like, wait a moment. Everything is a fucking cycle. It doesn't fucking matter. So that's why I learned. I was like, hey, most of my savings are in things that I can sell,
Mm.
that I know they're holding their value, whether it be a watch or gold bars. I have gold bars, silver, fucking whatever it may be. That I'll throw money in there, and that's my savings account. Like that. Like I'll throw good money, into stuff like that I know that I can liquidate easily. You know what I mean? It's like, what's my currency? Because we don't know where the dollar's going to be. We don't know how it's going to be looked at. One day I may wake up and there's no more deposits. The country is at, the country's out of its limb or something.
Yeah.
Well, I need to start selling shit. A bicycle that ain't gonna help. Hold. So okay, so like I was telling my wife, I was like, I think I fucked up. We got really nice bicycles, but nobody's gonna give us any money for these bicycles. If we were to
Yeah.
sell our bikes, I
Your
wouldn't sell.
$1,800 freaking mountain bike. Yeah. They're nice.
Once again, did I need a $3,600 fucking bill for two bicycles? No.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So it's like I was thinking about that the other day. It's like, I was like, it's not necessary. It's not necessary. Nobody's going to give me that. I'm lucky to get $500 for the pair. You know what I mean. People aren't going to buy that. My older brother's his first road bike was a $5,000 fucking bike that he bought for like $1,000 in a fucking pawn shop, $800 in a pawn shop. So what are those things? And I was like, yeah, I guess so. Most people don't have that. They don't know the value of their things.
Yeah. I bought because my wife wanted to start riding bikes. That's what she likes to do. And I was like, yeah, so I'm gonna get you a mountain bike. She's like, I don't want a mountain bike. She's like, I want a cruiser with a basket.
Yes.
I was like, it's not functional. She's like, it's functional for what I want. And
Yeah.
she's got a freaking aqua green freaking beach cruiser with a basket on it that she
Is it
loves.
towny? Is it a towny?
No, it's not Italian. I don't even know what brand it is. I bought it from freaking
Oh,
Walmart on,
oh,
and like I
because
ordered
you
it
just yeah.
online and it got shipped to the house. But and then I bought a mountain bike at Walmart online and had it shipped to the house, and I put them together for Christmas a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I think between the two of them, I might have spent $450, maybe. And the reason why is because I know that when the novelty wears off, we won't ride them like we used to. And sure as shit, every winter we ride the hell out of them. But in the summertime,
They stay right there.
they stay right there in the garage. And unless I'm like on my self-inflicted suffering, and then of course it'll get some usage. But there's no value there, like whatsoever.
But here's the thing: the value is also in the eye of the beholder. So, like for example, Nelson's kids. So they were really when they had to sell everything off down there in Colombia, and they're moving here. Nelson told his son, he's like, "Listen, I want you to give away everything.
Uh,
Don't even try to sell it." She's like, "No, no, we no, give it away." So they gave away his Xbox One. They gave away his bicycle. They held uh, raffles, like free raffles, for the kids, like neighborhood kids, and like, hey, anybody want my bike? Let's raffle this out. Dude, they gave away the Xbox, the bicycles. When Dolly and I said, let's buy them brand new bikes, so
huh,
that when they get here, the first thing they do is show up is like, oh, here's your bicycle.
huh,
That's what we did. We went to Walmart. I think I paid maybe $150 a bike or something like that,
huh.
less than $200. I bought two bicycles for 300-400 bucks, like you just did, blah blah blah. And when they came in, they were so grateful because they had a brand new bike.
Uh,
They ride it every day, once again, and it was a very cheap and expensive bike. You
uh,
know, it went, in the eyes of the beholder, I guess you could say it
yeah,
that way.
yeah, no, and like I still enjoy it, but like when I crashed that bike on the trail, and like I legit just bit
Uh,
hardcore. Like I was just like, oh, well. I was more worried about the phone on the bike, but like legit.
you
So,
bent this shit.
oh no, I like all the stuff that could break off broke off, and then and it was fine. But like Daniel has these issues where he likes to go hard on things, and so I'm like getting through this trail um, at the regional park up here, and it's like a legit mountain bike trail. So I went to bend the corner, and when I came around the corner, there was another turn, but I was going too fast that the tires weren't even on the ground when I needed to start turning. And so I like hit the brakes and I was like, oh, that sucks. And like you could just see like when the tire finally hit the ground, it was just a very clear like skid mark right into the trees. And
Ah,
I had a motorcycle phone holder on there, snap that off, and like I record things. And so there's a legit video of Daniel like, and all you see is the bike going back and forth, and then you see like a beeline straight into the freaking trees. And it comes back in the frame and falls over. Like, yeah, that was it. And that was like right after I had gotten back from like hurting my shoulder. And my wife was like, "You could have been in the hospital." Like, come on, all road rashed up, like bloody, and she was like so mad at me. It was like, it was awesome.
listen, it's been 2 hours. I got a lot of shit to do. Yeah, I got a lot of shit to do.
I'll catch up with you tomorrow.
Peace out. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.